Ladies and gentlemen, as you may be aware, earlier I managed to get Red Skull from the crystal opening, and I wanted to do this video just as a bit of two things, a bit of a warning and heads up, but also a secondary. I really want somebody to change my mind and open a new perspective on Red Skull, because I've been playing about Red Skull, a rank 1, level 10, so this is equivalent to about a 3-star character at rank 3. I've also watched some gameplay as well from the crystal opening whale, who has a 5-star awakened Red Skull at rank 3 as well, and it's very similar results in terms of what we're seeing with Red Skull so far, and he looks massively underwhelming. I've tried to find a good side to this character in terms of his utility and practicality when playing him, but I really don't think Red Skull, in terms of the current meta, has much going for him. I said in Alliance chat, Red Skull would be an absolutely phenomenal character if it was the start of 2016, because one of the things that he really does have going for him is incredible block proficiency, especially when compared with Captain America. But just in terms of the damage, man, this boy ain't putting in much work at all. I feel like we are looking at the 2018 Carnage here. Now, in terms of, you know, some of the stuff that I have in some of my testing, so I took the rank 1, level 10, unawakened Red Skull against Winter Soldier, just to get a bit of a feel for what the damage might be like, you know, if we were to level up this character a little bit more, because we're going to be taking him probably to at least rank 3 to do a little bit more testing on Saturday. So this was how far I got. 435 hits and barely over 20% on Winter Soldier. So if it was a maxed out 3-star, I would assume it would be about 1,500 to about 1,600 hits, and a maxed out 4-star, I'm going to assume in some of the maybe best case scenarios, we're probably looking about 500, 600 hits, but again, that's just in terms of the damage, and some characters, you know, they're not all about that damage, and Red Skull, he certainly has a little bit of utility. However, the utility, I found, apart from the block proficiency, seems greatly inferior, generally speaking, to some of the other, you know, best options out there, and we're going to go over his abilities and show off some more gameplay today. But yeah, that's how many hits and how far I got into Winter Soldier before I was like, damn man, this damage is so incredibly ass. I just cannot deal with this anymore. I also watched Crystal Opening Whales video to see a little bit of Act 5 gameplay as well, and this Green Goblin with, you know, Red Skull's heal block, utilizing it there, 134 hits. Not good at all, man. Not good at all. That is absolutely terrible for a 5-star rank 3 champion. Ghost, just comparatively speaking, could probably get this Goblin lad down in about 20-something hits. So, yes, I don't know. I'm not too sure at all. And the one thing that, you know, personally I'm missing in terms of the ability not having Red Skull awakened is the signature ability, which is Cube Affinity. So the Cosmic Cube aligns with its ambition with Red Skull, providing him additional power when utilized. So this kind of gives him a Quake style of potential play. So while charging a heavy attack, generates 6% power per second, and heavy charging can be held for an extended duration, and landing a heavy attack when the opponent dashes in. So this is something that's very tricky to do. Will shock the opponent, dealing its 200% of his attack over energy damage over 2 seconds. So this could be something that is maybe a little bit of a game changer for the character, but I don't really see that being enough to compete with some of the god tier damage, and this seems something very like it's very tricky to pull off, and I doubt you'd be able to get multiple of those in a row to get kind of some big damage output there, but I don't know, that could be some potential for the character as well. So just to you know, bring as much perspective as I can in here. Now, we're going to quickly cover some of the attributes and stuff that Red Skull does. So, one of, again, the strongest parts about this character, arguably the strongest, is his block proficiency. So, at the base, it is very high, 77.2%, and again, he can be upgraded further, so this is going to go up even more. However, the synergy with Captain America World War II, well-timed blocks have a plus 10% chance to perfect block for each buff on Red Red Skull, and a lot of the time you are going to have at least a few stacks of armor up on Red Skull. So again, he has a very, very high chance to perfect block and mitigate a lot of damage via his blocks. So yeah, some really good stuff there with the block proficiency, but that's kind of the only thing. I think he actually might be the best at. I think he arguably might be the best block proficiency character in the game, but I think it's a little bit circumstantial. Like Captain America and Captain America World War II definitely come close in a lot of scenarios. However, as we see in the current meta at the moment, block proficiency isn't, you know, it's a nice thing to have for quite a few matchups, but it's not really kind of that top tier stuff. And if the character's damage is lacking like a big ton, it's not really going to help out too much. But then we have his abilities. So he has greatly increased ability accuracy. It's like 1000% to essentially mean that his ability accuracy reduction can't be reduced, which might make him potentially a bit of an interesting counter to Domino, granted a very, very slow one to play. So yeah, that could be a potentially like interesting use. Also, he gains additional crit resistance and energy resistance for each buff on him as well. A bit more of a defender thing there. And also the opponent's power rate is reduced by 10% for each debuff on them, which can have a little bit of synergy with his special 2 shock as well. So as soon as the fight starts, he's going to gain 5 armor up buffs, each increasing armor rating, and these can stack up to 10 times. And when filling a bar of power, he gains an armor up buff. But when blocking or parrying a basic attack, you consume 1 armor up buff generated by Red Skull to power drain 10% of the opponent's max power and inflict a certain amount of your attack as direct damage for each buff on Red Skull. So the more armor you have, the more lethal this is going to be. And then we also have heavy attacks. So if the opponent is stunned, he'll block them for 7.5 seconds and you get the stun via the special 1. But the special 1 stuns and also refreshes any shocks active on the opponent. And the special attack 2 is how you apply the shocks. So you apply, I believe it's a total of 5 shocks to the opponent, and they deal energy damage over 2.5 seconds. However, shock duration is increased by 50% for each buff on Red Skull, and these shock debuffs stack up to 5. However, the shock damage is pretty measly, to be fair. It's just over, I believe, 20% of Red Skull's base attack per stack every single second, which really isn't too much, you know, in comparison to some of the insane bleeds and damage that characters like Domino can do. It's not too much at all there. And also, one of the interesting things as well is the special 3 can drain all of the opponent's power, but also for every 10% of power drained this way, gain an armor up buff as well. So you've got a guaranteed full power drain on the special 3. However, in terms of power control, I've tried against Hyperion, all or nothing, Spike nodes as well, and it just doesn't seem like too much of Red Skull's power control is really that practical or desirable, because when it comes to big power control, generally you want something that you can get off quite quickly. This is why like characters like Vision and Magic are so popular, because you get to 1 special 2 on Magic and that is the rest of the fight completely sorted, and Vision is just, you know, special 1 or special 2 spam to lock down the opponent, or Dr. Octopus get the power lock on the opponent and just intercept them in the corner, or Hawkeye just has it on the special 1. Very, very effective there. And yeah, I just don't, I'm struggling to find a matchup or use where the special 3 is like really good, potentially as an emergency, but again, Red Skull just seems like such a wet noodle champion that he's like a very somewhat tedious and annoying to play that I've found so far, and it doesn't look like upgrading him is going to do him too many favors. So to showcase some gameplay, we are going to jump into Act 3, Chapter 4. We're going to go for the Thanos mission here, and just do a few fights in this, because this is kind of around the power index level for where Red Skull should be at in terms of fighting different opponents, and we might do a few punching above ones as well, just to showcase some of this character's damage output. Let's turn my volume down a little bit as well. So you can see this Drax here has just under 10,000 hit points, and yeah, we're gonna go with Red Skull here and try and get to the Special 2. But one of the things that I do like about Red Skull is his animations look so awesome, man. The character art and VFX team, I think, have done a fantastic job, especially when it comes to his Special 2. Like, his Special 2 is so incredibly dank. So yeah, let's try and use the Special 2, and then we're going to chain on a Special 1 after this as well. But also, ideally, to, get the most value out of Red Skull, you need to do quite a bit of intercepting, because that extends the shock duration even more, but it won't matter too much for this fight. We should hopefully still be able to refresh it. Okay, unfortunately we couldn't there. Right, so yeah, if we had played a little bit better with the intercepts, we might have got that. And there we go. So 52 hits on that Drax there, but we did also have the class disadvantage, just in all perfect fairness. So you can kind of get a bit of an idea that every single hit is punching in 200, and for something that is close to the power index of a maxed out 3-star, that is not terribly good. So that seems to be one of the potential biggest downsides about Red Skull. And I think the other thing is it just kind of all comes together with the damage not really being there, and the utility just being greatly inferior to a lot of other characters, because I don't really see any scenarios where you play Red Skull over like better power control champions, because that, I think, appears to be one of the main focuses of the character, but even that he's not doing super well. Right, let's now we've got 4 armor up charges, hopefully get off a 6 Special 2. Right, we'll fire off the Special 2 here. And there we go. Let's go back in for a Special 1. But yeah, it's really hard to get a good amount of value off that Special 2 unless you're quite deep into a fight. And I think like Realm of Legends Winter Soldier is a really great showcase and example for that. So I think we might go for a couple more fights here. We'll go for Gamora, and then maybe one more, and then maybe dip into a little bit of Uncollected or Realm of Legends Winter Soldier, just something that's a little bit beefed up. So hopefully we can, showcase this a little bit better. Also, that's one of the potential pros about the character. He does have the block proficiency to punch above. He just doesn't have the damage. Right, bait another Special 1, then we can go Special 2, and then Special 1 right after. And I'll also showcase the Special 3 as well, just on Winter Soldier, while we are building up some of these charges. But let's fire that off. Punch in, Gamora's down. Not too shabby there, but still, a lot of hits, man, for opponents that, like, you know, they barely have any health, man. Barely have any health. I know 3-star characters that would be able to get some of these opponents down in about 10-15 hits, man. Some of the gold tier ones, especially if you brought like an Archangel into the mix, for example. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit conflicted on Red Skull, but I really do want to see some more gameplay emerging up, and hopefully he isn't as bad as kind of I initially believe him to be. But I think just one of the things, I've just been so wowed by all of the characters the last few months. So to get a character added to the game that hasn't kind of immediately been like, oh my gosh, this character is just absolutely ridiculous. It's kind of a little bit off tempo at the moment, and especially Red Skull, man. Everybody's been looking forward to Red Skull for such a long time. Also, the Special 2 sometimes doesn't seem to connect. I've had that happen quite a few times in my testing, so I'm not too sure if it's the way that I'm playing him. There we go. But I'll show you on Winter Soldier how to get that damage up. But there we go. 48 hits. Adaptoid in the bin. He is really fun to play in terms of his animations, though. I really, really do like his animations. They are incredibly dank. However, it's just that damage, man. I just don't know where it is. Okay, he needs something like the armor on him also gives him like 20% fury or something like that for every stack. I think that would pretty much make Red Skull significantly better in terms of the damage output. At least bring him up to what the other champions with kind of better utility are doing. I think he needs like 20% fury on every stack of armor. And also, what else could Red Skull use? He could use a power lock. I feel like that's what he needs to control a fight a bit more efficiently. Like if every time his power drain applied from his armor up bursting, if it power locked the opponent for like 2 or 3 seconds, just a very short duration one, then there's some interesting ways that you could play to, you know, really stall some fights toward the start of it. But anyway, we are going to get to the special 3 here, try and get some big stacks going on. And also, we are using the Mutant Team Synergy as well to enhance damage here on Red Skull, just as a heads up. So we got the Mutant Team Synergy and also the Captain America one, just so you're aware of all of the factors that are at play. Oh my goodness. Right, I need to ideally push him as high as we possibly can. Because for every power bit drained, then we get a stack of armor up. And we want as many as possible. Right, I think we'll just go for it here. We should get like 4 or 5. And then we're just going to bait out special 1s and special 2s if we can. Cheeky little intercept there. Let's see if we can get to, I think it's going to be 7 stacks by the time we arrive at that. And then that should give us enough to infinitely refresh on. We want to make sure we get close to the special 3. Okay, let's consolidate that shock. Now we go double medium. Just hammer into this lad. But yeah, that's essentially it. That is the absolute max damage rotation you can get. I think there is a little bit more resistance. Is there a bit? I think there's a little bit of resistance maybe on this Winter Soldier. Him being a higher level, but it's not really much at play because they're both 4-star characters still. And you know, 3-star champions, there are certain 3-stars that can get Winter Soldier down in a couple or a few hundred hits. Alright, hopefully this refreshes. Oh, not quite. Okay, it's alright. We got 10 stacks now, so we can just go up. But I think, just by this point, you generally get it. Let's see actually if blocking this. I think we're going to take no damage if we block the special 2. Oh, okay, we're still taking a bit there. Still, it wasn't too much to deal with. We'll go for the 10 shock special 2, though. Get that glorious max extended duration. So it's certainly going to need it, to be fair. So yeah, the better you play with like baiting out special attacks and intercepting, just the more the more shocks you can get up. But I don't know, the reward in terms of the damage ramp up just isn't there, man. And even like on a fully maxed out Red Skull, what is that shock damage going to be? Like if this Red Skull's base attack has 300, like just under 400, we're looking at one with like 2k. I don't know, I just don't see it really being enough. Maybe 500 per second, but still in comparison to characters like even Infinity War Iron Man, you know, one of his, a couple of his plasmas are dealing that, and he's got a lot more that he can do. So yeah, I think basically I'm just struggling to see how Red Skull ramps up and becomes a better character. And I don't think he is, to the best of my knowledge. And I don't really see how a lot of his utility is going to be super useful for stuff, or better than some of the top tier options. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we are 300 hits in. I assume at this point, you get the general gist of it. So yeah, I'm very, very curious about Red Skull, and I want to watch this character very closely over the weekend. But so far, the initial estimations kind of seem like he's a bit of a dud, a bit of a miss character. Seems like he needs a bit of a revamp to both kind of his damage output, to put him more in line with some of the top options, and needs kind of more effective immediate power control solutions. If literally he had a very short duration power lock every time his, armor shattered, then that would just be absolutely perfect, I reckon. But yeah, he needs that and a little bit of retuning on the damage as far as I can see. But who knows, man? Maybe we are missing something absolutely huge with Red Skull. Maybe there's something tied into the Awakened ability. We are going to have to wait and see and find out. But yeah, I'm not too sure on that one. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think in the comments below. Apart from that, take care. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.